It's Christmas time, so let's make the city's Christmas park and market. First of all, let's plan it out. We'll start off with this big stone circle right in the centre. This is going to allow us to have many events as suggested by Zed Carmen in my recent video. Because it's December, we'll have a big Christmas tree and a whole bunch of stalls, each of them is going to be owned by you guys. We'll then have these 3 access points connecting from the stone circle to the roads, and then this lovely organic path which will be cutting through the forested end of the park. And we'll also have this additional path with another smaller stone circle which will be explained in depth later on in the video. And finally we'll have the small path also connecting to that far road. Of course, there's still so much nature work to do. Okay, let's start preparing this land first of all, because there's a lot of terraforming needing done. And that took very little time, but there is a slight problem. You see, this house has been here for a while and it's been in some of my most popular shorts. It doesn't just mean a lot to me, it means a lot to some of you guys as well. So I've devised a plan. Pistons. A lot of pistons. You see, my plan is to create some sort of piston roof in which we can then lower the house into the ground. And so the hole is dug, the pistons are in place. I've also filled the inside with slabs to make sure the house doesn't deform. To make it easy, I'm going to get rid of this block of stone on top. That way I can have one lever and a whole load of redstone dust. And so hopefully with one push, we have successfully pushed it down one block. Now we just have to fill in the air gap, push it once more, and just repeat the process. It's already back down to ground level. It's important that we preserve history, even in Minecraft. And we'll do one more just for good measure. There we go, as the sun sets, that's the entire house now a block underground. So now we can start restoring the inside, and because we made it out of stone slabs, we know exactly where to remove. And because it's night time, let's have a sleep in our house. But look at that, you have no idea how happy that makes me to know that we've preserved such an important bit of history for the channel and for the world. So now we can start clearing this mess and get working on the park. So I think what we can do first of all is mark out that big stone circle. And to do that, we're going to need some guidelines. Thankfully, I've got loads and loads of wool, maybe not red wool, so we'll use some blue wool instead, and this will be our marking out material. And so now I'm just going to find the middle of this road, which is these 2 blocks right here. Then we can just extend this line all the way across the park, and then we have to find the center of this road, which is one of these blocks here, so we can just take this across the entire park as well. Okay, now that we've got the outlines in place, it's time to start building that big stone circle. And what's quite good is because the entire square is at an angle, it creates these perfect little dots, which I can start from this central point as being the center of the circle. And now it's a case of going out 9 blocks that way, that way, that way, and that way. And you know what, that's way too small, so we're going to extend it another 7 blocks. Now that we've got our cross, we can start connecting the curved elements, which is fairly straightforward because we're just going to go out 4 blocks, and then go out another 3 on each side, another 2, 1, another 1, and then 1 block right there. And now we can start raising it up to our expected height, which I think looks pretty good. So we now just have to replicate it on all other 3 parts of the circle, which turned out not too bad. We've now just got to get rid of these blue outlines, which was a fairly straightforward task. And so now we're just going to continue this stone andesite and stone brick pattern just throughout the entire circle. And that was straightforward. I mean, it really is just colouring in between the lines. And now we're going to colour on the outside of the lines, because I'm just going to follow this general shape of the lines that we've already put in place, and that gives us the general shape of our paths. Now that we've got that in place, we can just remove the blue wool, and then once more just fill in the gaps. And it's that simple. And now we just have to replicate that on the other sides. Okay, now that that's the pattern, we can start working on my personal favourite, the nature. First of all, I've got to do some more terrain work, which is quite simple. Then I can start bone mealing some big trees using this technique with the fences, and then start bone mealing the grass, getting rid of all the flowers. And then it's time to put in this lovely brick wall design, which has pots, diorite, brick and granite, and of course some leaves. And because it's daytime, we'll quickly light up the trees as well. Okay, now we've got this part of the park done, I think it's looking pretty good. I'm now just going to very quickly replicate what we've got there on that part of the park. So let's see how that turned out. So there we go, that's half the park complete. And again, once this area is completely filled with buildings, I think it's going to look so much better. But this half that we've completed does feel quite magical, especially with all the lights and the trees. But still the other half of the park needs to be done. But before we do that, I said this was going to be a Christmas park and a market. So let's get ourselves a Christmas tree. And to get the best Minecraft Christmas tree, we're just going to use spruce saplings. And so we just place the 4 of them down, give it some bone meal, and that's the perfect Christmas tree. And so now that we've got a lovely Christmas tree, we're going to have a few stalls just around here which are going to be dedicated to some of you guys, some of the top commenters. So let's first of all place in our corner pieces, and these angled stalls are going to be quite tricky. And then we can strip the log to give them a nicer texture, and then we'll place in the slabs as well, which can act as our counters. And for some nice depth and shape, we're going to put some mud brick walls on top of the posts, and then I'm going to place some fences just on top of these mud brick walls, and then we can start putting in the wool roof, which will be themed after each subscriber's profile picture, which I think is actually quite a cool idea. And I don't think I've seen seen anyone do that before. It also lets us have some really cool combinations of wall colours, which I otherwise probably wouldn't have done. There we go, this place is looking so lovely now with these stalls, the Christmas tree, and of course this area is going to change every month, so don't get disheartened if your name's not on one of these stalls. I thought I'd give one to your boy Steph, because he comments on so many videos, it's great to see a familiar face. Same with all of these people, like Rocket, Zed Carmen, whose idea was the central Christmas tree and the rotation of different ideas each month, Hybrid as well, who comments a lot, and of course same with Danny Mulder, who comments often as well. Thanks very much guys for being so active on the channel and part of the community. Anyway, what's next? I'm going to tackle that little small stone circle which is over here, which is going to be quite important for this park. So this might look strange to begin with, but I'm going to start by stacking up these stone bricks. This is because I want the stone circle on this height, and of course we'll terraform the land up towards it as well. Okay, so I've transformed what was once just a stone circle into a stone circle with walls and a staircase which leads down to these tunnels. Now what I'm going to do is have this tunnel connect all the way to that house that's down there. But there's also more than just that, because I intend to keep every iteration of the park and its central changes on a map which will be stored underground inside of those tunnels. So let's get back to building that. Okay, take a look at this. As you can see, the tunnel is in place. It's this very nice sort of stone architecture. We've got lanterns and loads of hidden lighting. It looks really quite nice. And it turns a corner and it leads you into this room where the house is. The house we pushed down in the beginning of the video. I've also put these item frames here. This is what I was saying about keeping track of the maps and putting them down here. So we can have them all along these walls, and if need be, we can expand. Despite it looking quite cool down here, above ground has a lot of work needing done. So let's finish up this top area, get some paths in, some grass in. It'll look pretty good once it's done. So let's first of all get the paths made, which if you watched the last video, you know exactly how I build my roads, where I stack up the dirt for the edges, and then I can just simply build on top of them. And I'm again just using that same stone brick, andesite and stone texture. And for when we have to go up a block, I just put a layer of slabs just to try and increase it gradually. And these paths don't really follow a structure like the other paths. They're very wild and quite random, but I quite like that. And now that the paths are in place, we can start filling in the grass and the dirt in between them. And then to speed things up, I'm just going to place in some actual grass blocks that I got from the last video. I am struggling to hide this tunnel system though, because it sticks quite far up out of the ground. I'm also just filling this all the way in to make sure mobs don't spawn underneath. And this part's quite steep going back down the hill towards the road, but it should make for quite a cool cliff design. And I completely forgot about this other path, so we're going to put that in place as well, which again will of course be our stone brick, andesite and stone texture. And now it's back to trying to smooth out this terrain, which again is quite tricky. I'm just putting these dirt retaining walls to make sure that the paths sort of dictate how high the terrain will be. But you can really appreciate the amount of dirt that I've had to dig for this project. Okay, now that we've got the grass and the paths in, it's time to start turning this into a forest. And that is us completed the project, but very quickly, I just want to say thank you very much. I only had the channel for around 6 months, and in that 6 months we've had some amazing growth, an amazing community has built up, and you guys seem to really love what I've been putting out. You've left some amazing comments, amazing feedback, and it's like you guys really want to help me out and help me succeed on YouTube. If you really want to support me, then check out some of my other videos after this one, and then put them on in the background whilst you play Minecraft. YouTube looks at how long you've watched a video for, and then it determines whether that video should get shown to other people. So if you just have my stuff on in the background, then you're doing me a massive favour. Of course, there's no pressure to do that. This will be my last video of 2024, so thank you very much. Anyway, let's look back at what we've done today. And so that means that's the central park finished. You've got of course our lovely Christmas tree and market, which will of course change once December's over, and just so many trees completely contrasting from the city, despite the fact there's no city in this area, but that will get changed very soon. We've of course got these lovely paths that cut through the dense forested area, leading to this mysterious staircase, which lead us to the secret tunnels. Like I said, there's going to be a lot more happening to these tunnels, so despite them just ending right here with a few items frames and this strange house, there's going to be a lot more plans for these tunnels, so stay tuned for that. But thank you very much for watching. Leave any suggestions for the park or surrounding areas in the comments below. Anyway, take care.